On today's Rolston Hockey Exclusive, I am joined by a 2009 sixth-round draft pick by the Toronto Maple Leafs, a teammate of mine at the U.S. National Development Program, a U18 gold medal winner, a U20 World Junior medal winner. He has played a total of 31 NHL games and 358 AHL games. He could sing you arguably every Dave Matthews song known to man. He loves road trips, cards, video games, and hanging with his buddies. Some may even call him a local celebrity in his hometown of Binghamton, New York. Currently in his 10th professional hockey season, a best friend of mine and roommate for 2 years, Jerry D'Amico. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, buddy. Thanks for having me on here.
Whereabouts are you right now?
I am currently in my parents' basement in tough times with quarantine life, but you got to make do where you can. I rushed over here from Germany, so they shut down all the real estate things, so we couldn't get a house. And
Are you staying busy, active? I mean, I know it's a little bit limited, but trying to stay in shape and workouts?
trying to, yeah. I'm doing these Peloton workouts. I just ended my season this past year with an injury, so I've been rehabbing my ankle and trying to get that better before I can kind of get into the summer lifting and all that. But just trying to stay busy, go on a couple bike rides, long walks, at least when the weather's nice. But yeah, just trying to stay busy.
You grew up in New York. Talk about your youth hockey and, I mean, basically how it was in the area that you lived in, your youth hockey experience, maybe some of the teams that you played on, and, kind of your path up until basically NTDP.
My path was kind of different. Hockey in Binghamton, at least for young kids, wasn't really popular. It was more expensive. So my dad gave me the ultimatum. He's like, if you really want to play, like, I'll pay, but you better make this work or else you're not going to play anymore. Because the big sports were baseball, basketball, football, and my dad wanted me to play those. And I just fell in love with hockey, so I got into the programs and did the squirt, bantam, peewee. Our in Binghamton there wasn't really too much for like your honey baked teams or AAA, so we only had junior C, junior B, and then a junior A team came later. But we just kind of moved up in the ranks as quick as I could. I remember I was playing up ages when I was younger, playing with older kids, which I think kind of progressed me and helped me, be a better player, to work harder, to kind of be better than them. But worked my way up through there, played junior B in the Empire League. And then like I said, the junior A team came in Binghamton, and then I that was my big calling to, here's your big shot, make it or break it. You want to play with the big boys here. Here's your chance. And that was when I was 14. And that's when kind of all like the U.S. thing started to happen with the camps. What were they? The festivals?
Yeah. So like when you were younger though, were you having to like travel outside of your hometown to go play, hockey, or were you basically just playing for like your local house league team?
I was real lucky. Like Binghamton had a good program. Syracuse is an hour away. That was a bigger program that, that's where they took all the better kids, but I kind of want to stay home. I was a homebody. Like I was a baby, like I didn't want to leave home, but that was just a decision me and my parents made, and we wanted to stay local. And then when it came to time to move away, I eventually had to do that. But from the time being, when I was young, I stayed. I played baseball until 10th grade, until I had to quit. But I loved all the other sports. That was big to me, to play basketball as much as I could, to play football, to play baseball, and have hockey there too. That was my first love. But I think what a lot of kids don't have is they focus on the one sport nowadays and don't venture out into other things. But I love playing other sports and being around that atmosphere.
I think the first time I met you was at one of the U15 USA Select camps, and I think it was the year prior to us going to play at NTDP, and you had this awful chin strap, like I'm not talking about your helmet either. I'm talking about facial hair.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. Oh,
that's just
the chin strap was huge for me. I think it started like I was one of the kids who could grow like good facial hair at that point. I hit puberty pretty early, which, I wasn't complaining. And I don't know what got me into it. I think I saw it on TV and I'm like, wow, that looks cool.
Yep.
And I rode it all the way to that camp. I don't know what I was thinking, but literally since you said that, I think everybody who first met me in the US program team were like, man, you were that kid with the chin strap. I was scared of you. Meanwhile, I'm like the nicest guy. And it was just like a kind of a weird look that I was going through. And I look at pictures of this day, I still laugh at it because it's hilarious.
That's
But
so good.
the things that we were into, like back in the day, it was frosted tips.
No,
And
you were into, not me.
well, I guess to each their own, but everybody had their own vice. Like I had,
True,
frosted
true,
tips and a chin strap. Like that was me.
true. So you go from your youth hockey and bingo and playing in that area, and now you get selected to play for the U.S. national program. We both played under Ron Rolston,
Mhm.
and talk about basically making that big jump from playing on your city teams or your house teams or your junior, like you said, B and C teams, to being selected as one of the top players in the United States to go play for this program. How big of a transition was that, not just from the on ice aspect, but moving into a billet family and moving away for the first time, and the traveling and the games, and really the demand that is set on the players that go to that program, and the challenges that they go through.
I mean, the first thing I remember coming to me was nervous. Like you said, you're saying all these things, you're getting to put in a program, you're playing against better people, all these things. So first off, you get a little nervous. But for me, I was kind of itching for, that next thing, that next big thing. And that was it. So I was excited too. At the same time, I'm like, this is great, playing against the best guys in my age group or with them. Playing for your country. I remember that was, everybody made fun of me. They're like, oh, what are you doing? Do Mighty Ducks? And they're like, oh, that's like the Mighty Ducks. I'm like, I guess kind of, but no, another thing was playing for your country, man. Like we got to play for, a US national team. So that was cool. And that, own aspect, but for me, I think, like I said, like I play different sports, and this was like the first time I was like all in, pushed all my chips in. Hockey, here we go. Like this is my dream. This is what I want, and I went into it excited because at that time, like junior teams, we were only practicing like three times a week. No off ice unless you went to go to the gym by yourself, and games on the weekend. And now I'm coming in to 5 days a week on practice, 5 workouts a week with, what was his name? Kurt?
Oh,
Daryl. Oh yeah. And I loved it. I was like, this is what I dreamed of, to be in the presence of, having a strength coach on you 24/7, having coaches, video, all this stuff. Like I didn't really experience until then, which I needed and I wanted. So I love that. That was great. Um, and then the challenge though was being in a room with 20, 21 other guys that were better or, the same, if not better than you skill wise. So like, I always loved, like my motor inside me runs on, if I'm not good enough or if, somebody's better than me, I got to be better than them. So that was like my motivation. I'm with these guys, they're better than me. They're more talented. Like I got to push myself harder. So that was just like something where I was like licking my chops and kind of hungry to go. I guess, people, you got to love what you do. And for hockey, like for me to go to the rink after school was, I think it was when we got out of Pie High, it was 1:30.
yep.
And we go, warm up, stretch, workout, practice. I love that. Once it, clicked that, I was around the boys, had that team unity. Yeah. And then getting on to like the other parts of it was not being around my family, coming into a family where, I didn't know them. They didn't know me, and you're just kind of in unknown territory. And It's a bit scary, but at the same time, they're very nice. I was fortunate enough to have a roommate there, Cam Fowler, and we just kind of became buds. And it was another thing that helped me, I think, because you know me, like I love being around my friends, and when you're alone, the first month or so, you don't really know anybody. You were lucky, you knew Cam, you knew Lynch, and AJ. So you kind of had a familiarity with all those guys. And I was just a guy from New York. And the only guy I knew was, Jeremy Morin, because he played in New York. And it was crazy. We had like a rivalry of, he was in Auburn. He was the best kid in New York. And then I was in Binghamton. He was known as the Jet and still is, but I was my dad gave me the nickname the Rocket to kind of compete with it, which is ridiculous. I was actually going through my stuff, and like being bored, you go through your stuff in quarantine life, but I found a necklace that said Rocket on it, and
You're the Rocket amigo.
Yeah, my fiance was like, "What's this? What's Rocket?" And I'm like, long story. And, no, it's funny, but like that, like I went into it only knowing him as a rival, and then like you said, you see me and I got a chin strap on, and you think, you're like, who the heck is this guy?
Yep.
So yeah, that first month is just kind of tough, but it was good that I had Cam there to kind of introduce me to you guys and mesh a little better. And I mean, we're going there for a year, and we're basically family now. So that was great to have, and that helped us out a lot, to kind of share our experiences and just be buddies and work on getting to our dream.
For sure. During
That
those
was
2 years,
long, sorry.
No. During those 2 years, we were fortunate enough. We won the U18 gold medal, and through that, I don't remember exactly when, but you decided to commit to RPI, which was I'm not gonna say this correctly, but Rensselaer Polytech Institute.
Yeah, I mean, people just say RPI,
RPI,
or they used to say RIP because they didn't know where it was, and they thought, I was going to my grave because they're like, "Where are you going? Why are you going to that school?"
So, what was your decision process on selecting there? Because I mean, you had a bunch of other offers. You could have gone to, more well-known hockey schools in a sense, but you decided there.
I had, pretty much all the schools kind of contact me. I'm not bragging, like it was just a bunch of schools, but my main three that I wanted, that I narrowed it down to, was Miami of Ohio, Notre Dame, and then RPI. RPI was just something. Seth Apper was the coach, and Jim Montgomery was the assistant coach, and they were on me hard since I was, I want to say 14. So they kind of knew. I knew of them. We had a relationship. We built a good relationship. Because they're in New York, I was playing in New York. They always see me. So I got comfortable with them. It was 2 hours from Binghamton. So you look at Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor was 8 hours away from home. I was a bit homesick throughout that whole thing. I had a girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, but I missed her, and like, we're not together anymore. I have a beautiful fiance I'm gonna be married to in a couple of months, but those things factored in, and I'm sitting there like I want to go to a school that is close to home. But then that was just a little thing. The bigger thing was, for me, they wanted me. So RPI was a big contender, and I was going to be their guy. They relied on heavily, to be the Sidney Crosby. I'm not Sidney Crosby, but they like him, and that lured me. And seeing some guys go to the bigger schools, and then as a freshman, them to not be on the power play, maybe be on the penalty kill, third, fourth line guy, that stuck in my mind. And not to say I didn't want to work for it at those schools, but for me to jump right in, and I kind of wanted to fast track my opportunity to go to the NHL as quick as I could. So I saw that as something to get me there quicker. I'm going to play first power play, first penalty kill, and first second line. Obviously working hard for it, but that's the lure. And I think I narrowed it down to two: Miami of Ohio and RPI, because they both were the same in that aspect. And I just said, it's closer to home. I want my parents to come see me play, my family. And, it just worked out like that. And, I just fell in love with the coaches too. They were a big selling point because, a lot of people don't understand that if you don't have a good coach or somebody to mentor you through the ups and downs, because you're all alone in college. There's no, you're in your own dorm room. There's nobody there to, say, hey, get to class or anything, So those guys were there, and, they made me a better person, a better player, just like Coach Rolston, Coach Cassidy did at the program.
So you go, you decided to go there. Going into that summer previous to RPI, it was our NHL draft, and you were selected sixth round to the Leafs. And, previous to that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all of us, it was safe to assume that we all thought you were going to go higher than that. And, some may say that, you kind of slipped in the draft due to, whether it was a previous injury or, something had happened like that. Talk about kind of that experience. And, there's a lot of people that are hoping to get drafted or don't get drafted. And, for you, you were supposed to be, a top 3 round pick, and you fall to the 6th round. Did that kind of change your motivation or, your mindset going into that summer and how you wanted to go about it? Now you're a little, on edge. Now you want to prove some people wrong. What was kind of your mindset through that?
Honestly, it was a blessing in disguise. You talk about all the great players and, very recently seeing like the Kobe Bryant and, him having all this fuel to be the best player. And for me, I had that same type of fire and fuel. Like you said, I was supposed to go in the first 3 rounds, and I slipped because I got hurt in the final game of U18.
Yep.
And I hurt my back, and it turned out to be something that I just had to fix with doing more core exercises.
Right.
That's how crazy the draft is sometimes. But I went in there, and I remember this was the thing I'll probably remember the most. The first round goes by. I knew it wasn't going the first round. Second round, I'm like, okay, I talked to some teams, and they're not picking. Second round goes by. I'm like, okay. And I'm just like starting to, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Third round goes by. Now you start to hit the panic mode, and you're like, what did I do wrong? I did all I could. I, scored the points. I, showed how my worth ethic was. What is wrong? So then at that time, all you guys started to get drafted. So everybody was done. And I was sitting in the corner. I think if I'm facing the stage of the draft, I was in the right, and you could see me. And then all the guys started to come and sit in my section with my buddies. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm just sitting there like, these son of a guns. They're going to pay. Watch what happens. I'm going to show them what's up. Keep passing on me. Watch what's going to happen. So that's going on inside me. And it's starting to get, to the, 4th round, 5th round. And my buddies are like, hey man, don't worry. My dad's sitting there, and I can't even talk to him because I'm just thinking how I'm going to get these guys. Like,
right.
Watch out. So that's going through my mind, and that's just fueling me. So then once it happens, I get picked up in the 6th round, and it was the happiest time. I was,
For sure.
Don't get me wrong, I was ecstatic to get drafted by Toronto. It was great. I'm glad, it's a special moment to be drafted. But if I didn't, I would have been I probably would have played 1,000 games in the NHL. I'm just kidding. No, but that's what it did to me. It just gave me that fire. And so I think that was maybe the best thing to ever happen to me, because that's how my mind works.
Right.
You give me fuel, that'll push me to beyond. And it did. So I went in there, got drafted that summer. I never trained so hard. I think I played baseball, but it was just like for a fun thing. I pushed that to the side. I'm like, this is my thing.
Yep.
I'm going all in hockey. I talked to my RPI coaches. They said the same thing. Hey, we're going to get you and prove everybody wrong. So that was just my fuel for the next, year. And it was great. And I don't regret that I got pushed back that far, because I don't know if I'd be the man I am today, because it builds character. It kind of you don't want to be given things. You don't want to kind of have that that mindset of, I'm good. I need to be a first rounder. And once you do, I think you get comfortable. So for me, I wasn't comfortable. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. I wanted to show everybody. So that just fueled me. And, not to say that you want something like that, because it hurts you a little bit,
Right. Sure.
same time, you're ready to show everybody that you made a mistake. And once you show them, you're like,
Yeah, I think there's, that fine line of, being upset and, why is this happening? And then also, okay, this happened. Now, how am I going to use this as motivation? How am I going to become better from this? And, I think you're a good example of, how that happened. So you go from, getting drafted to RPI that following year. You go there for 1 year, and Christmas of that year, you are selected to play for the USA World Juniors team, where you guys ended up winning gold in overtime, and it had been a couple of years, I believe, since US had won. Talk about just what that meant to you again. Like you said earlier, anytime we get a chance to represent our country at any level, it's incredible. And truthfully, you never know when the last time it will be. And for you, I mean, how was that experience? Just what it meant to you.
for me, man, like that was the best. I think, besides scoring my first goal, like that's one of the top things I'll go back to and just cherish, because it was an amazing feeling to win, and not only win, just be selected for something like that. Um, you know, to tie in the draft, and that kind of fueled me to that was my next goal.
Right.
Get drafted if I, that, and then make that team, because I wanted to prove to people the same thing. So I was just, that whole summer, I'm like, I'm going to make this team. I went into the summer evaluation camp, just working my things off. And, I wanted to make a good impression, and I think I did that. And then I think right before the tournament, I sprained my MCL, and, the coaches were calling like, hey, are you going to be okay? And I'm like, don't worry. Like, I'll be fine. I don't care. I'll play on a half a leg.
Right.
If I can be on this team, because as you know, like, it's so special to play in that tournament and in any tournament with your country. I mean, whenever you get to wear, the colors of your country and to play with the top guys, that's special. And, you get to tell your grandkids about that. You get to, tell stories. Luckily we won. They could be good stories.
Yeah.
But if they weren't, I'd be like, oh, I played against, Taylor Hall and all these guys. But no, man, and it was great. And to be with those guys, you look at our team, and it was just loaded with, Carlson, Cam was on it, Stepan, and those guys now they're top guys in the NHL. And, I got to play with them, and, we got to share this special moment that basically lasts a lifetime. And, for anybody out there, like, just set yourself a goal. I set a goal to make that team, and I pushed for it. And if I didn't get it, it would have, sucked. But at the same time, you got to move on. But I made my goal. We won. And then, I made another one after that. I wanted to make the NHL. So, that was, the coolest thing, pretty much, top 5 coolest things in my life, so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool story, great tournament. And like you said, the guys that play on that team, and, like you said, anytime you get a chance to represent your country, I mean, there's no bigger honor.
It was crazy too, because Kadri was on the Canada team, and they always had this thing. They're always focused on him, and I would see in like TSN all the time, oh, Nas in first round draft pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm like, screw this guy.
Yeah.
Show him all. 6th rounder right here. And then I remember like Berkey was in the stands, and he had an interview, and kind of like nonchalant said, oh, Domingo's doing okay. And just kept on talking about Nas. And like, that was another like thing. Right. I'm like, you know what? This guy's going to take back those words. He's going to keep talking about
teammates for 2 or 3 years as well after that, which, leads me into my next topic here. So your first year, and how it worked for you is you were drafted out of the U.S., so you technically, you had to play 2 years of college or junior, or you would be considered an underage in the AHL. So you play your 1 year at school, and then you decide to turn pro. You go play for the Toronto Marlies, and what was it? Right after New Year's or so, they decided to send you to juniors in Kitchener for the remainder of that season.
Yeah.
Talk about that process, and more so the mental side of, you're finally living out and starting your professional dream, and then, in one way or another, they say, hey, you're not maybe ready. You need a little bit more time and some more development.
It was a kick right in the, you know what,
Yeah.
uh, it hurt, man. Like I remember the exact moment and how I felt because it was All-Star break. So it was kind of in the period of the last changes they could make with the junior teams. And I've already played 40 some games with the Marlies. By no means did I have a good year. Like I was not ready to, I didn't prepare myself correctly to be a professional on my own. Like it was totally different than what I expected. And I wish going back, I kind of knew how to handle myself a little better. But going back to how I heard, I was on the phone driving back to Toronto, and my agent calls me and said, hey, you're going to get a call today and it's not going to be good. They're going to send you down to Kitchener. So just be prepared. 30 minutes later, get a call. Hey, Jerry, we're going to send you to Kitchener. And I was driving, so I had this on speaker, and I'm just sitting there blank face, like, no way, this just happened. Because in my mind, I'm like, I never wanted to go to the OHL. I thought, as a U.S. kid, I wanted to be in college. Then once college, you go pro, and that was that. Mm-hmm. I didn't know this could happen. No, like eating my parents. So I was shocked and pissed, and I'm like, I ain't going. I'm not doing this. This is crazy. And it was crazy too, because I had a funny story I'll tie into this. They have a reporter there in Kitchener, and he decides to call my dad. And my dad gets more pissed off, and he voices his opinion like really loud. And he said, I don't know why Burke's doing this. Just ranting like this is a joke, this and that. Yeah. So that was my starting thing. He puts it in the paper. Boom, it's in there.
That was a good start.
Huh? Yeah, great hot start to your first junior team that you're going to go to. Glad you guys want to be, Jerry. Glad you want to be here. But so my dad calls me and he says, "Yeah, I talked to this guy." I'm like, "Dad, what are you doing?" I get a call 30 minutes later from Dallas. I didn't know the number, so I didn't have his number. Dallas
Eakins.
Yeah. Gives me a call. Jerry, what is your father saying to reporters? Dallas. I don't know. I'll call him. He's like, yeah, can you tell him, blah, blah. So I had to clear that up. I can't really yell at my dad because he cares as much as I do. Like he loves his son, doesn't want to see him hurt, or he wants to see him go for his goals and he pushed back to the next tier down. So anyway, so then I get on all my stuff packed, go to Kitchener, meet the coach. Surprisingly, man, it was probably another one of the best things that can happen to me.
Was Steve Spott the head coach then?
Spott was the coach.
Landeskog and Skinner on that team?
He was great. He knew I came from, the pros, being on my own. He's not going to put me with, a curfew and all this. I've lived on my own. He knew I was like a grown man.
Right.
On my own. I was mature enough. So I got put with a billet family that I love to death still. I still talk to them. I just had a FaceTime with them last week. They were the coolest ever. And then the guys on the team, they were just like, hey man, glad to have you on the team. This is going to be fun. And I didn't realize how fun it was. It kind of brought you back, and it gives you that spark of, all right, let's go. A junior team, come on. And yeah, you did it too. You went to college for a little, and then you went to Windsor. So it just kind of, I never experienced it. I didn't know what the OHL was about.
Right.
And I was just like, wow, I love this. Packed house. I think at that time it was 6,500 maybe. Yep. And, we're playing, everybody knows you're on the city. And I'm just like, well, yeah, here we go. Get in there in the playoffs. And like I said before, with how bad I was doing as a Marley, not playing up to my potential, I needed something like this to refresh and kind of just put a a blank slate and just say, all right, that was over with. Here's your new slate. Toronto wants you down here to develop. Don't take it as a slap in the face. Take it as you're down here to improve, to get better, to build your confidence for next year. So that's what I did. And man, I had a great, I think I was there for like 2 months.
Yep.
Best time of my life.
Right.
And the hockey was good. The coaching was good. Like it was great. So I look back at it now and I'm like, at first I was pissed in the moment, and you hate, like I said, you hate to get put in that position where you're down another tier, but it's sometimes good to kind of go back to get back up on the ladder again and climb it up again.
Right. So you go from there in Kitchener. That following year, you're back in Toronto with the Marlies, and I believe it was 2 years after that, or maybe it was 3, that you get your break. And at that time, you and I had actually been living together for 2 years, and you got your break. Got called in the coach's room, and pretty sure it wasn't a Kinger that pulled you in. Derek King with.
It was it was weird. So it's Kinger, Derek King, Gordon. It was all 3 coaches.
Yeah.
And Steve Spott was the now Marley's coach.
Right.
So yeah, I went in there and I thought it was a bunch of bull. Like I went in there and I'm like, "What's up, guys? What did I do?" And they're like, "Jerry, like we just want to congratulate you." And I was just like, "No." I was like, "No, you guys are serious?"
Yeah.
And I couldn't wipe. I had this smirk. Like it's bringing back memories. I was so happy. I'm like, because man, like you said, so 3 years. So 3 years after Kitchener, you're
just grinding away.
If guys can understand how long of a wait that is, I know guys have waited longer, but things start to creep in your mind. Things, that you don't want, but they're always there. They're like, why are you still playing this game? You're not going to reach your goal. This isn't, you're not going to get it. It's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Those things creep in and you kind of got to push them away and surpass them. And this was the moment where I was just like, finally, like it happened. Like, let's go. Like, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. You finally got your opportunity to play your first NHL game. What are you going to do with it? And dude, I was the happiest guy alive.
Yep. I remember you scoring your first goal. I think you played between Toronto and Buffalo. You played a combined 39 games, was it?
31.
31 games.
Hey, we can say 39 though.
We can say 39. So, I mean, it was just a great experience for you playing pro in North America and those organizations. And then, after that, you decided to hop over the pond and go over and play in Europe. You played in Finland in the top league there for 2 different teams. And then the past 2 years, or, this past current season as well, played in the top German league in the Dell for Ingolstadt. Talk about, the different style of the game there. Maybe part of your decision to go over there and just your, experience of being in Europe and, some traveling and life experiences that, you weren't able to have necessarily playing in the States.
Yeah. So to go with the first question, like it's definitely different hockey. We grew up North American style, hitting, dump and chase, make 3-on-2s, make, passes, plays, and shoot. There, it's just more, not dipsy doodle, but, guys like to hold on the puck in Finland a little
creative.
Yeah, they're a little more creative, but also, like, they like to do it themselves,
Right.
most of the time. And it's different. Like, they're not – we were told by my first coach, he spoke good English, but anytime in the locker room, he spoke Finnish. And he's like, Jerry, I don't want you to dump the puck. If you're going to dump the puck, turn around, pass to the goalie, and then change. Like, I never want you to dump the puck. And I'm like, all right, sick. Like, I can toe drag here. Like, let's go.
Right.
Like, but no, like it was just different. They had different styles. And I think it was pretty cool just to experience, a different style of hockey. And, Finland's a pretty small country. Like the longest road trip we had was like 4 hours. And, some away games were, 30 minutes to an hour and you're back that night. So, different things like that. It was great. The fans were great. People in the city loved hockey. Like they love hockey with a passion. And for me to kind of be there with people there being so excited to have like a North American guy who played, in the NHL, they're like, "Oh yeah, how you doing? Uh, you're gonna win this year," and they're pretty aggressive fans. They want to win, and you're
Right.
here to win for them. So that was cool, and I didn't. It wasn't exactly like the thing I wanted to do. I never wanted to play overseas until I was older, but I just kind of got pushed that way because I was a veteran in the U.S. So a veteran, if you play over 270, 80 games, uh, it's a rule that you can't have more than 5. I don't know if they've changed it, but more than 5 veterans suit up. And in my last year in Rochester, we had 8. So we had to sit out 3 older guys every game. And it just became, unbearable. You want to be in the lineup every day. And I kind of free agency came around and the phone went silent.
Yep.
And, and there was Europe, calling, knocking on the door. So I said, you know what, I got to play somewhere. And it took me a long while because my only dream was to play in the NHL, not to play. I wanted to play for the Stanley Cup. That's my goal. That was my next goal. Like I said, I've always had these goals. Stanley Cup was my next thing. And then I'm like, okay, that's off the table. Now, let's see what I could do in Europe, and chose to go over there. And I could have done one or two things. I could have said, you know what? And I could have done, one or two things. I could have, said, I'm just going to go play for the money, or I'm going to try to come back and, work to get back to my dream and play in the NHL. So, and also like you're going to a different country too. Like you want to experience a different culture, and, you got to have an open mind. So I went in there with an open mind, ready to kind of have a good time and play hockey and see things I've never seen before. So it was pretty cool to do that. And then the next year I played in Kuopio, and Sammy Kapanen was my coach. And he's the first time I was like, Sammy Kapanen, that sounds familiar. And my buddy goes, yeah, shows me the video of him getting absolutely clobbered and then crawling back to the bench. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my coach. This is unbelievable. I can't wait to make fun of him. So like I got to get coached by Sammy, and then after that played in Germany, and I'm still in Germany now, and well, not right now, but the lifestyle there is great. The vacations, me and Mal went on this past year. We went to Dubai. We've traveled to Barcelona, as they say. We went to Rome. Like, man, you get to travel the world, and I can look back from here in 10, 20 years and say to my kids and my grandkids, like, man, I got to, go here and go there and play for, these crazy fans in Germany. Because I go to my first German game, and I see this guy with his shirt off. We were in a little town in Italy, in Lach, and this place maybe seats 1,000 people, and we're in an exhibition game. And these guys are there in a freezing cold rink with their shirts off, banging on drums, doing these things. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? And it turns out like it was the coolest thing ever. And, I'm still playing there today, and it's fun. It's competitive. It's, it's good for, family life. And, I'm looking forward to kind of keeping my career going as long as I can, as long as it's fun and, the wife approves.
I can remember when I was over in Switzerland, with my wife, and you guys were over in Germany. And I mean, it was just the coolest thing ever, like talking to each other on the phone, like, hey, you guys want to come down for the weekend? And it's just like, we're driving through like, Austria or Germany or wherever we're going, and we're meeting each other. And I just thought it was so funny how I'm from Detroit, you're from New York, and we were way farther from each other when we're in the U.S. than we were when we were living in Europe. And I mean, I think we saw each other way more over there than we do, here.
Yeah. I mean, the one year we went to Oktoberfest,
yeah,
and we had I had a game in Munich, and you guys came down for the weekend, and we went right to Oktoberfest right after. And you trained, I think you had practice, and you left early in the morning to practice, but you had to see your buddy first and have a couple good times. Yeah, I think that's the best part about it too. You see, guys are in the same position. You're in a different country. You don't speak the language, and when you hear that, North or English speaking person, especially if he's your best buddy, like, man, that's great. And then if you can see him on top of that, hang out with him, that unreal. Like we still talk about some of the times we've had, seeing each other driving, us driving to Switzerland, you guys drive, like, it's crazy. Like I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I wish we had more. Like I might have to take you out of retirement, and I'm still like I'm talking the agent, and I'm gonna tell him, like, man, Kenny's still looking good. He's looking in shape. Let's bring him on for the center.
Oh,
Just so we have, because that's what hockey is, right? Like you create these bonds and relationships with people. You're around them, you're in a job. It's a job. You go there from 8 till 2 o'clock, and you're with them every day, and you just grow close with them, and surround them. You go to dinner with, we're friends this day, and we, always are looking for that next time when we can hang out, and it's the best thing.
Absolutely. Lastly here, your summer training and kind of your development that you've had over the years, training in today's age has changed a lot. From when we were younger, it was as much as you can get out on the ice. And now, with social media, there's all these different platforms, and kids have access to all this stuff. I preach all the time with the kids that I work with at Rolston's Academy that, it's the little things, it's the details, it's the paying attention, it's, looking at the coach in the eye. It's not necessarily the craziest drills or who can do it the fastest. What are some of the things that you've noticed with guys that you've been on the ice with, NHL players, NHL camps, so college teammates, European players, that, there's a consistency in their training, whether it's, the fine details of the game, or, hey, I get an off day here, but I'm going to go do this little extra workout, or, whatever it may be. What's something that sticks out in your mind that, with your game and other players that you've noticed over the years, that doesn't matter what level you're playing at, there's some things just don't change.
I think one of the big things that sticks out with me is, at least we grew up in a stage where, like, there wasn't a focus on, off ice as much, like going
Right. For
up
sure.
level, you got a little more,
Yep.
and you just learned on your own. Like now, like you said, there's things online. You can see like what it takes to be on that next level, to be the best, or what you have to do. We kind of had to figure it out on our own.
Yep.
And learn from people. So I remember, like we said, like my first year as a Marley, I didn't warm up. Like I thought I was young and cool, but I saw all these other guys, taking 30 minutes, getting there early, eating breakfast before they came to the rink instead of eating breakfast or a banana there.
Yep.
Like having a cup of coffee, to warm up. Like some guys were in there like half an hour earlier than me, and I'm like, what's this guy doing? He's crazy. But at the same time, he's one of the best guys on the ice.
Yep.
He's putting in that extra time to be better. And that's why he's better than me right now. That's why he's a consistent player on this team, top player, and he will get called up next. Like those guys, there's some guys who have naturally born talent that can, like, I don't want to mention any names, but they just have it and they don't have to do anything.
Yep.
And for a guy like me, I have talent, but not enough to go at that pace. You look at a guy, like, I remember when I was up, at least, Jay McClement was a guy, dude, the guy didn't leave the rink and he had a family at home.
Right.
I'm like, man, but man, I hate to say this one too, but Mike Zigomanis, man, he ate healthy. He did all these things, and I was just it blew my mind of, how much extra you have to do to be, that much better. And, that's why it's important for kids to kind of find somebody who, is a role model and does those things, and just learn from them. Like, just watch what they do, watch how they warm up. That's why they're that good. And that's what keeps them in the game and, makes them the players they are. I now come to the rink half an hour earlier and do all this extra stuff. One, because I'm getting older, but also because, I want to be the best I can. I don't want to go out there and give half effort and, say, oh, I did my work today. I'm going to punch my, hour ticket or work ticket and be on my way. Like, no, I want to be the best. Like that's the reason why we play this game. We play because we love it, and we play because we want to be better than anybody, and you want to win a championship. That's the best feeling. We won a championship together. We're locked together forever. Sorry. Like
Can't get away from you.
you ain't going away from me. I'll tell you that for free. But yeah, guys like that. And, my advice to a kid would be, look at these guys, watch the videos of some of these guys working out and how hard they do, and how good they are with details, their edge work. I watch some of these videos of like McDavid doing these drills, and I'm just like, I can never do that, but I can try to come close.
Right.
And so, you can never be as good as them probably, but as long as you're doing the work and trying to emulate what they're doing, it's good enough for me. You're giving it your best effort. You're not going to be the best ever, because that only is a 0.5%. I don't even know how much that is, but you want to be as close as you can with them by doing what they do.
One thing I can always remember about you is, kind of like you were saying throughout this interview, and, you always set your goals and you had these things that you wanted to accomplish. And, if the goal didn't turn out or didn't, happen the way that you wanted it to, you were always able to hang your hat on it because you knew that you put in the work. You gave yourself, the best chance to make that team or, score that goal or whatever it may be. And if it didn't work out, you were okay. You could live with that because that, for yourself, you gave all the effort you could. And that's all anybody can ask. And yeah, man, I mean, great talking with you. I appreciate you coming on here. Thanks for taking your time, and hopefully, this whole virus gets cleared up and you can get back to training and get ready for next year.
Can't wait, brother, man. Thanks for having me. And, man, can't wait to see you hopefully soon.
I know. All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
All right. I'll talk to you.
Peace.